Yeah, yeah.
Coming up on Mental Health Marty, we are going to be talking about Minority or BIPOC Mental Health Awareness Month. Stay tuned. Yeah. What's up, everybody? It's me. It's your boy. It's Mental Health Marty coming to you all the way from, are you ready? I'm not in Southern California. I'm in my hometown in Columbus, Ohio. Yes, the big O. What's up, everybody? I am your mental health hygienist. And as always, I'm coming to you live and on the location in living color. Listen, I have been in the rain, have not been in this much rain, the storm and everything, and it has been wonderful. But I'm so excited that you are joining us. Listen, join in, let other people know. All my Ohio folk, y'all still up? Let me know you're out there. To my fam, I went out here for my family reunion that started on last Friday, and we had a marvelous time at the family reunion. Unfortunately, my time has been extended. One of my aunts passed on the first night of the family reunion. So please, I pray that you keep my family in your prayers as we are going through a difficult time. But as they say, the show must go on. So all you out there in IG world, come on over and switch over to Mental Health Marty on the YouTube channel and get us live and in living color. So listen, let me tell you what this show is all about and what we have to do, why we do this show. The Mental Health Marty show is intended for psychoeducational purposes and psychoeducational purposes only. We want to expose you to mental health and wellness. However, we are not a substitute for you seeing your therapist, your psychologist, your psychiatrist, your medical doctor, your pastor, your preacher, your life coach. However, we are a part of your treatment plan. And if you are experiencing any type of psychotropic or psychological emergency, please go to your nearest urgent care or call 911. But if not, hang in there with us because we have a dynamic show for you tonight. Now, how do you engage with us? I'm so glad that you asked that question. In order for us to see your comments, because we love an active audience, even on IG, we love an active audience, but you got to come over to our YouTube page, Mental Health Marty. And that channel has been growing like crazy. We're so excited for those of you who have recently joined us. Let us know that you're listening. If this is your first time catching us on a live show, definitely do that. Now, how do I get informed when every time a live show is coming? Daryl, let's walk them through that process. Daryl is the Mac in the back. You go to the YouTube and you go to subscribe. When you hear that bell, you know that you've hit the right channel. So please subscribe and add comments because we want to hear you in real time. Yes, Miss T, what's going on? Glad you're here. I know your boy is here on tonight, so we're glad that you tuned in. But we hope everyone is doing well. Listen, let me know how your week has been, how everything is going. But tonight, we are going to be talking about July is Minority Mental Health Awareness, but we like the term BIPOC community, which is Black, Indigenous, and people of color, because we are not in the minority, but we are definitely making up the majority. And America is supposed to be this great melting pot, and there's supposed to be no divide, although we know there is a divide. But we want to help erase that stigma, and we want to talk about what does mental health look like in our communities. Still, there is a great many of us who don't have adequate access to mental health, who don't have resources and everything. Jonathan, good to see you, my brother. Hope all is well. And we want to help erase a lot of the stigma and eradicate the stinking thinking that mental health services are for those in our Anglo community and those who are crazy. Listen, there's a difference between mental illness and a being mentally well and a mental health diagnosis in that. Listen, at some point in our life, we all go through anxiety. At some point in our life, we all go through depression. However, that does not have to define who you are. We are bigger and we are better than our mental health diagnosis. However, we can control it and define it while not allowing the illness or the disease to control, to conquer, or to stagger us from the things we have to do. And in fact, I always view that ADHD, attention deficit, hyperactivity deficit disorder, ADHD, all of that, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, that part, it's late on the East Coast, y'all. I'm usually brighter in my mind because it's 7 o'clock. But listen, that doesn't have to define you. That can be a superpower, and that's what we want it to be. So I'm so excited. Listen, all you on IG, come on over. I'm disconnecting. Hope you're doing well. Gotta go right now. And those of you, listen, I'm so excited about my first guest. He is no stranger to the Mental Health Marty show. I'm so glad to have my brother back. He's the brother from another mother. And so glad to have him all the way from D.C., the DMV area, none other than my homeboy, my brother, Thomas Davis.
Happy Tuesday, sir. What's up, man? What's up?
How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. How are you, sir?
Listen, we making it one day at a time, one day at a time. Nicole, good to see you. Got it? I'm here. Yes, Nicole, glad you are here. Thank you, darling. Good to see you. I feel like I'm on Portia's show. Hello, darling. So, Thomas, what's been going on with you, man? I know I'm keeping you up. What's been happening?
Marty, anything for you and anything for Mental Health Awareness Month. So I have no problems being up late on the East Coast, but I bring you greetings all the way from Washington, D.C., where we believe that our possibilities are limitless here in the DMV area, sir. Thank you for the invitation.
Yes. Oh, so our possibilities are limitless.
Always.
Thomas,
always.
Yes. And looking at our community, what do you think still in 2022 is one of the biggest stigmas that we have about mental health and the Black community?
Well, I do want to say that I was looking at this show before we prepared tonight, and there were some stats that came out that only 17% of African Americans have a mental health disorder, or has been diagnosed with the mental health disorder. And there is a total of 6.8% of 6.8 million African American individuals who have been classified with having a Axis 1, disorder. So for me, I would say that the stigma is that we are still sometimes uncomfortable with seeking support. I think sometimes we feel that we are judged. I think sometimes we feel that we are less than a person if we go to someone and say, hey, I have a need. But I think it's time for us to keep doing what you're doing, what everyone else is doing, by bringing it, what we're doing, by bringing it to light and just letting people know that it is okay, as you say, not to be okay, and speak up,
Most
speak out, and
certainly.
as you say, live and get support
That's right.
services.
That's right. And we have to create these safe spaces, especially for
Correct.
men, where
Yes.
we can share that I'm not having a great day, that I feel like
Right.
I say it this way a lot of times, Thomas. We as black men, especially, have been taught just a very few
Right.
emotions that are acceptable. We can be the angry black man, we can be the sexual black man, or we can be the buffoon black man,
Right.
and nothing else, and nothing else. You know, we're never taught to express emotions outside of those
Right.
three, except for when we're in sports. We're allowed to show emotions in sports and all that because that's
Right.
expected of us as well. But anything past those four areas, we are not expected to even deal with that. And even in a lot of my family counseling and couples counseling,
Mm-hmm.
most of them, correct me if I'm wrong, if you see the same thing, says
Right.
I know how to be a protector and I know how to be a provider. But the outside of that, I don't know how to deal with emotions. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know how to be an encourager. Right.
Yes. And so how does that affect even our relationships? How does it affect our families from what you're seeing as well?
Thanks, Marty. That is a dope question to ask. What I
Hmm.
see and what I can say is honestly, because we are being taught that we don't show emotion, we don't
Yes.
cry, we don't
Yes.
say, I'm sorry. We were
Right.
taught that we are the provider, as you say, we are the protector.
Yes.
We have to be forceful and angry. But there are,
Yes.
in 2022, there's a population of men who aren't that way. They just want to be
Yes.
themselves. They want to be
Right.
individuals that is just accepted for who they are. And I think
Yes.
what I'm seeing here in the DMV is that there are a group of individuals, a group of men that just say, "I just want to be heard. I don't want to be the
Yes.
rough and tough guy. I don't want to be the physical fit guy. I just want to be simply Thomas Davis. So how can
Yes.
I walk in my truth? How can I just be myself and not be
And
judged, not be
yes.
ostracized or
Yes.
ridiculed?"
Yes, or made to feel ashamed.
Right.
And most of us struggle, especially men, with being our authentic self
So,
because we're afraid of that in our authenticity, we're not going to be accepted. And that's a sad place to be. It really
right.
is. It really is. And to all our Facebook followers tonight who's joining us, listen, welcome back. And our goal is that you will switch over and definitely start subscribing to our YouTube channel because YouTube allows us to do a lot more and gives us a lot more
Hmm.
freedoms. Thomas, I want to bring on our special guest. Listen, he is not he's really a reoccurring guest, a reoccurring co-host like you are, since you dumped me and gave me the boot and everything. But I still got nothing but love for you, my brother.
We were doing good. We were doing great. We're going to continue
You
to
know
be
we
great.
got to do this, man.
Bring
You
on
know
that guest.
that.
Bring on that guest. Bring the guest. Bring on the guest.
Yes, sir. This brother is so sharp, and I say this, Thomas. I know this is your first time on the show with him. Dr. Chris is amazing. So
Hmm.
glad to have him. So none other than Dr. Chris Williams. Come on in the room, Dr. Chris.
Hey,
My
hey,
brother,
hey, what's going on? What's going on?
how you feeling,
How y'all
man?
fellas doing?
What's
We
up,
I'm
doing
brother?
all
great.
right.
I'm great.
Come on in the camera because we can't see you. We got
Great. I
half
know
your
I feel like
face.
I'm a little like I can see. How about
There you
that?
go. There you
There
go.
we go.
Man, yes. Dr. Chris, how you been feeling here lately?
I've been feeling good. Been busy.
Okay.
Which is good. Which is good. And so doing good
Okay.
things, trying to positively impact people's lives. So
That's right.
it's these are good problems. I always say, in life you're gonna have problems regardless. So
Right.
what kind of problems do you
Right.
want to have? Do you want to have busy people problems, or you want to have broke, not busy people problems? So
I love
I'm
that. I
glad to
love
have
that.
these.
Yes. And you know what? You said it right, Dr. Chris. Life is going to be full of problems. You make me go churchy. It says life is full of
Uh-oh.
swift transition. Uh,
There it
yes, it
is.
is. But it's about how we really respond and react to those challenges in life. And when our life is not properly aligned, I don't like, my coach and Portia says, balancing acts are for clowns, but we have to align ourselves up properly. What is your secret to alignment? Because you do physical therapy, you got to earn a PhD. Thomas and I are trying to get to your level, my brother. We just got these masters and everything. But you went on and paid the extra. Went on and paid the extra bill. Talk to us, but on the real tip, as we as Black men, how do we find that alignment in life, especially when we are not given permission to be aligned?
Well,
I'm talking good, y'all.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is, I think a lot of times as men, we're really judged on our ability to provide, like what we can do. And that's just really one aspect of what we bring to the table. And so I think just like when you look at your health, it's not good enough just for you to weigh the right amount. Your blood pressure needs to be in check. Your diet needs to be in check. Your exercise needs to be in check. And so you need to be hitting the healthy cut levels when it comes to your social health, when it comes to your emotional health, when it comes to your intellectual, spiritual growth. All of these things, your social relationships, your romantic relationships. And I like what you said earlier. I think we're looked at as very limited characters, and we can play so many positions, and you have to practice all of that in order to be a well-rounded player. So
I love it, because I'm really leaning a lot to, as I'm growing in this profession, and in that, and Thomas, you can attest to this too, that I'm now switching, going to mental and emotional wellness, and really looking at all the holistic approach to wellness and what that encompasses, because a lot of times what we fail to realize, our physical health affects our mental and emotional health. And our mental and emotional health, that's right, affects a lot of times our spiritual well-being, which affects, it comes full circle in so many times. Thomas, talk to me about, especially those of us who are the head of households. I'm including women in this, and why that is so imperative that we have this biopsychosocial wellness plan for us. Talk to me.
Before I go there, I do want to tap into what Dr. Williams said. When he tapped into how it's important to understand your BMIs and all of those aspects that he just gave, I use that in my therapy sessions as identifying the whole self, right?
Okay.
You can't address part of the self if you're not willing and present and available to address the whole self.
The whole self.
Because the whole self is important. The whole self is key, because sometimes that stress is not due to emotional stress, it's due to your physical stress, because your heart is pumping, which is causing us to be anxious and causing us to have those anxieties. So to our therapists and to our supportive people that's listening on this evening,
that's right,
take care of the whole self, and let's stop piecing together health and wellness. But to go back to your question about how can we incorporate our ladies, we got to be able to be transparent, to be able to share who we are as a man, who we are as an individual, and if we are if we are caught up on labels, let's just say it like this, y'all. Who am I as Thomas? What do I present? What are some of my successes? What are some of my growths? What are some of my glows? And being able to tap into everyone in your household, so you can educate that lady or that significant other in your home about who you are, because sometimes we as men, we portray to be something that we're not, and they are only going off of what they are given and what they are observing us to be based off of what we're saying. When in reality, that's not always the case. So I
Yeah.
think it's just very key and critical to bring them into our space, bring them into our dark moments, bring them into our scared moments, and also bring them into our success. I'm all about the whole personnel.
You're right. Last week I don't know if you got those of you, a shameless plug for last week's show. Brilliant. I had former NFL player Joe Barksdale
I saw
on there. Yes, yes. What I love about this, Dr. Chris, he was diagnosed on the autism. We called it in the DSM-4 Asperger's. Now is
Okay.
the syndrome. And so he didn't get diagnosed till he was in his 30s about that, and fought back and forth with the suicidal ideation. And I love his transparency and his honesty about the importance of trying to balance his life. He's not ashamed to share. He's on psychotropic meds. He's not ashamed to share. He sees his therapist twice a week. He's not ashamed to share that he has a safety plan with his wife, and he's a father of 2 amazing children. With that, yes, Portia. Can we say it all?
Portia, hello, darling.
Love me some Portia Scott down there in the ATL. Come on. Yes, yes. And John Henry Scott, we don't want to forget about you as well, my personal COO and life coach. But and can I say it this way? Since we're talking about Portia has taught me balance. John Henry Scott has taught me balance in business and how that affects me, because I know that there have been sometimes we've had a meeting. He goes, no, we're not doing this together. We need to talk, because we're not going to accomplish anything on the business side if we if we don't deal with where you're at mentally, and where are you present at. Presence is so vitally important, and that's what I loved about Joe Barksdale. So those of you who have not had a chance to see that last week, what I loved, it was real, it was raw. He did not hold back. He talked about the daily fight he has on a daily basis with depression. And when I look at him, he looks successful. Former NFL player. Dr. Chris, he's dropping his first solo project where he's singing and playing guitar. He's a comedian. Oh, wow. He's a podcast host. He does these other things. A father. He works out 2 hours every day. All these things. And so when I look at him, I'm going, dog, you're successful. But in his mind, he goes, I do all these things so it can help to mitigate a lot of my stinking thinking with that. Yeah. Dr. Chris, talk to us about why physical health and getting the proper care is so vital to because you do both. Dr. Chris is well-rounded. He does the physical, but he's also talking about our mental health and the balance of that as well. Talk to us, Dr. C. Talk to us.
Sure. No, I love what you were saying, and you touched right on it. All the things that Brother Barksdale was doing, as far as working out, the music, everything. Yeah. And I'm a little kooky because I feel like there are signs around us everywhere. And there was this one of my favorite movies is Unbreakable with Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah. And part of the whole thing where Samuel L. Jackson is trying to basically bring Bruce Willis along and tell him, like, yo, dude, you're a superhero. And maybe that sadness, that emptiness that you're feeling is because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And so as you were talking about all those things that he does, the working out, the music, and I'm like, he probably has to do all of that. He has to do all of that because he doesn't feel like himself. It's almost like dogs, they have to get out and play. Certain dogs, you just can't leave them cooped up, or they're gonna be a mess. So I love that. As far as with the physical part, what you brothers touched on earlier, it's all, with the physical therapy take on it, I always tell my patients it's all connected. And just same thing, you have to look at the whole person. And I think too often we live in a world where we look at diagnosis. We separate you and, okay, that person's an ankle, that person's a hip replacement. This is a person who has these things, and how they got to these places might be different. Y'all both can come in with ankle sprains, but how you end up with an ankle sprain versus how you end up with one could be for completely two different reasons. And that's where the skill to step back and look at the whole person. And really, I love people. And it's like, what's your backstory? How did you get here? And that verse, you can verbally tell me that, but then you can also tell me that. I'll tell people, I'm going to ask you a question and you're going to give me an answer verbally. And then I'm going to ask you that same question and your body's going to give me an answer. And they both better line up. And if they don't, then you're the problem. You're the problem. And we need to work on that.
Right.
So, but it's all connected. You can't, when you work out, you feel good. You feel like you're moving well in your body. You feel like you're strong. That can't help but transfer over to your emotional sturdiness, your mental health, and it's also also know that you're paying dividends into your medical health. Not to mention you're setting an example for your family, for your young ones. There's just so many good things that come along with it. And I think it's just an opportunity to really, really fix a lot of things. So you got to do it.
No, I love that, because I love how you said you're asking them, because you're now not looking at just the sprain or the break or whatever. You're looking at what was the process to get you there. And Thomas, I think that's so important that we as mental health specialists, we have to look at, I love that, the story behind it. We have to examine why, because we cannot treat the ankle the same on everyone, because everyone's mind is shaped different, it's formed different. There's going to be different trauma that shapes it and all that. And can I say this? You have me thinking, Dr. Chris, how many emotionally constipated men and women do we have out there?
Oh, there's a ton. There's definitely not a shortage. if you were to ask me.
Right. Now, Dr. Chris, this is talk to us real quick, Dr. Chris. When we don't release those toxins, what can it do to our bodies?
It'll eat you up from the inside out, to be the short answer. I think I've said this before, energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's just transferred from one party to another. And so that emotional, those unresolved issues, that the reason why you amped on your wife, it wasn't about the toothpaste. Nah, man, it was about you not feeling like you were enough. And somehow you misinterpreted something that she said, and you saw that as a put down. Then it just escalated. You have to address this stuff, and I see it so often. And we, especially we as men, I think we're just in a very sticky situation because we feel like we can't really talk about these things outside of maybe the barbershop, or maybe with a teammate, or, those kinds of things. But it should really be, if you have a good friend, talk about these things. Yo, man, I get scared. As hell. Man, me too. Man, I'm having a rough go of it right now. Like, I got laid off, and brother, I know what that's like. And it's just like this weight, like this big invisible 400-pound person's been sitting on your chest, and just expressing
been on our chest. Yes.
And being accepted and not being judged and not being looked at as less than. all of a sudden you're like, all right, I can breathe. I didn't realize I was suffocating. And so I think if a lot of brothers knew that and how good they would feel, they would do it more regularly. And they really wouldn't care what somebody would have to say about them, because they would feel that good about themselves.
Yes.
Mark, can I jump in right quick?
No, go ahead, Thomas. Go ahead. Jump in.
You were awesome, Dr. Williams. And what I want to say to you is that what you just said is very key and very critical when you talk about the amount of weight. And I think you did an excellent job discussing what that weight is. Stress, overwhelmness, lack of, missing these certain hierarchy of needs. Maslow tells us all the time, you got to have that sense of food, that sense of love, that sense of shelter, that sense of belonging. And you hit it right on the head, sir. So I want to say to you, that was definitely clear, and it was uncut, and it was very much so needed in times in which we are living in. But I also want to talk to you guys about this. So my eyes are bloodshot red. I'm going to tell you why. I've literally been in session since 4:45 p.m., and I logged off at 9:15 to get on the show tonight at 9:45. I'm doing a series working with men. Shout out to my DMV brothers who are saying, yo, I need some help. We are discussing 3 Ps. We are discussing 3 Ps in our men's group, and it goes to what Dr. Williams said. We are discussing our path, our position, and what my hat say, our purpose. What is your path as a man? What's your journey? Because when you brought up what is your story, and then you go back and you ask them again to check and balance that body language, that is your path.
Yes.
What's your position? How do you see things in life? Why do you see things in life that way? Who taught you that this is the right way to think? And the last thing is, we got to get to our purpose. Why are we here? Because I think sometimes we are still stuck on what has happened in our past, and we lose out and we lose that sight of our purpose. So all those things that may happen to us back in the day, last night, this morning, we still got to keep in mind what is your purpose in life. And so I thank you so much, Dr. Williams, for bringing that up, because you've reminded me that we got to be on this battlefield encouraging all of our people, especially our BIPOC people, to know their purpose, know their path and position, and know and lastly come up with a plan.
I love that. I love that. Because here's a problem. I'm going to go right here with you, because that's good. When we realize, so you threw me into the spirit. When we realize our position, come on. When we realize our position and we rightfully sit in our position, see, sometimes you got to take your position by force. And when we sit in our position, that directs not only our purpose, but it also creates a pathway for those behind us to follow. Don't play with me right now. I'm excited. I didn't turn the corner. I need the amen corner. Come on and with me. Listen, amen. I went.
Amen, brother.
I love my brothers. I went to this amazing conference my first night here in Ohio. And my cousin called me. He says, Marty, there's this it's called African American Male Wellness Agency. They have the bag and everything. African American Male Wellness Agency. They had this amazing conference for men on a Thursday night that began at 5 p.m. on a Thursday night. Can I say that again? On a Thursday night, this African American Male Wellness Agency had a conference, and 500 black men from upper elementary to late 60s showed up. They showed up, and they had Music Soul Child as a main speaker talking about mental health. What I loved about Music Soul, now we all love Music Soul Child. What? Talk to me, Thomas. What you gonna say? You know, he goes, you're not hearing me sing. We like, we can't hear you, Thomas. What you say?
No, I was about to sing. Love
There you go.
There you go. Yes. Love, so many people take your name in vain. I gotta get in the right key. But love. What?
Carry on, sir.
I'm gonna let y'all do that. Like, look, the name is Christopher Williams, but I did not inherit the voice. So
that's all right. That's all right. Listen. Right. But what I love about him, he was so vulnerable, talking about his own insecurities, and he talked about why it takes him so long to get a project out. And he talked about growing up in a Muslim household and how he did not receive the very thing he was singing about, and that was love. And then they took the 500 men and broke them out into breakout sessions of 30 or smaller. And then each breakout session came back and reported back what they had talked about. And the common theme in every breakout session was this: the lack of an effective father figure in their lives. It was so, and then in my breakout session, we saw they called this one cat OG. Nicole, it was phenomenal. They called OG. And so OG looked down and asked this other young man, he goes, I don't understand your generation. And so now we start having healing that took place right in there. And the men were vulnerable with each other. This amazing 25-year-old black male nurse who came from a mixed family. His mother was white, his father was black, but never got a chance to spend any time with his father, and how he struggled that his job was not manly enough, that he was not manly enough. And you know where he got comfort from? His wife. His wife. And so we have to do, and all of them said this: we don't feel safe with other black men. Why is that? That we as black men don't even feel safe with other black men? I don't get it. Dr. Chris, Thomas, I don't care who goes through. Why is it that we struggle with being comfortable with each other?
Go ahead, Dr. Chris. I'll jump in there. Like, it's a thing. Now, I'll be honest. It's I moved around. I got picked on for you know what I'm saying, for talking white, for wanting to get good grades, for wanting to hang out with whoever. Not just black kids, but I just hung out with whoever I thought was cool and was nice, and I enjoyed. We had things in common, and so it would be, look, one day I might be out here playing ball with the fellas, and the other day I might be running around jumping rope with the gals, because that's where that was what led me there, and we can be our own. It's just difficult. We can be hard on one another, and it's hard at that age because you don't see it. Like, he's saying that because he wished that he was secure enough to be able to go do what you're doing. So it's easier just to tear you down and make you feel uncomfortable. And then when you hook up with these brothers later on at high school reunions and this, that, and the third, and you realize like you're able to put the pieces of the puzzle together a lot more clearly. But sometimes it's too late. The damage has already been done, and that trust has already been violated. And so it can become very difficult, not to mention, I think we're having fathers, having people in our lives. And I think even you talk about this generational thing. My father has spoken that, he loves his father, but he and his father really weren't the closest. And it's like your father can kind of teach you what to do, how to get a job, how to do certain things. But I feel like the next level is like, how can I teach everybody to value me for who I am? Not strictly, but just because of what I can do for you, what problems I can solve for you. because I think that's what happens. And then let's be honest, the black man is a target out there. So you got people out here wanting to take all those things that you can do, either take it for themselves or keep you from doing it. And so all of a sudden, if I'm not able to do that, if I'm not able to play football anymore, well, guess what? Am I still a valuable person? Are you still going to want to rock with me because I'm a sensitive dude who loves watching the same movies that you watch and I make a mean old fashioned? Like, you value who I am and not necessarily what I do.
I love that. Daryl, put B. McCargo, my man B. McCargo's comment back up. He said that it had to do a lot with, B said, envy and ego, that type of thing. And we carry that as a shield of protection as opposed to carrying. A lot of times we don't understand compassion and empathy, and even it doesn't mean we're not being stern, but you can still be stern in a loving way, that I'm not fearful of you, but now I embrace you and trust you. So I'm not having to create all these facades and masks and never let the authentic, we talked about that earlier, the authentic Marty come out. Thomas, talk to me, because I know you're chomping at the bits with this one. This is so good.
This is phenomenal. And I didn't want to go first because I want to sit and listen. Sometimes we got to sit and listen before we respond.
Yeah.
The main reason why I feel that we as men don't always talk to another man is simply this, y'all. And it's simple. Because a man treated us wrong. We don't trust each other.
Right.
Competition. I can give you a prime example. When I go to the gym at 4:00 in the morning, I'm scoping out the environment because I want to make sure that if I get on the treadmill and I'm running, that I'm doing it at my pace where I'm not being judged like, oh, he's weak. Or when I'm lifting that 20-pound dumbbell and I'm like tired and I'm struggling, my environment is determinant on how I'm going to respond. And that is also connected to the enviness, because I'm watching somebody that is lifting a 50-pound dumbbell and I wish that I can do that. And so I begin to envy that person because I'm not where they are. And so I think sometimes we have a spirit of being competitive. We want to compete with each other. And it also goes back to a lack of trust, because someone that should have been in our lives did us wrong. So why should I go and talk to somebody else?
Yeah.
Right. And that's where we have to, learn how to, and my challenge this week really is going to be this, that we as men, we as black men, learn to recognize each other. Because you know how we even get, when we see another black man, we even go, am I going to speak? Are they going to speak first? Should I speak first? Or are they too hard? Do I got to act a little harder? All of that, where we're just like, bro, what's going on? How you feeling today? How are you? We don't check enough each other. Daryl, let's go to Jonathan Davis's. Yes. Showing vulnerability is discerned as weakness. B, you're absolutely right. It's that vulnerability. We think you're weak. We think you must be a punk. Jonathan Davis said it this way: we sometimes allow others to live rent-free, come on, in our heads to project systemic limitations versus unlimited expectations in our journey in life. I love that.
Right? I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, don't you like that? How because we get in our heads, and can I say what Dr. Chris said earlier? Without knowing that brother's story,
right?
Because we get to hear the story of their life, we may get to understand why we have put up these walls, and we can go along with my brother and be like, bro, I get it. I want to know you. I don't want to know necessarily this wall you've put up, because this wall, although it's a part of you, it's not. Is it a true part of you? Because we're not monolithic as black men. We're very diverse. We are very much. And once we start allowing the healing process, go ahead, Dr. Chris. I think we can heal our black men, and we become better fathers. We better husbands. We become better whatever, sons, workers. We now get to understand our path, our position, and our purpose. Don't play with me.
Ooh.
Go ahead, Dr. Chris.
Ooh, yeah. No, I love all of that. Y'all brothers are bringing the fire, bringing the heat today. It's this dropping the wall, like, and being real with one another. I loved how you said that. It's like you see another brother and you feel like, okay, how am I gonna, do I need to kind of puff up a little bit? And it's just like, you know what, drop that. What I found, and it took, it takes some practice on my part, but yo, hey bro, I like those shoes. Hey man, I like that exercise. What are you doing over there? Like, where'd you get that from? And all of a sudden, hey, I see you jamming. What you listening to? And then you'll be amazed how quickly those walls will come down. I feel like we don't want to hold these up. And I feel like, especially on my superhero journey, this is why I needed to go this way. But in physical therapy, yo, look, if I'm seeing one of y'all in the clinic, I better get to know the real version of you pretty quickly, because you're not going to trust me to crank on your knee. And I'm like, unless I know you. And I'm like, look, Thomas, all right, so look, I'm go ahead and tell you, this is going to hurt. I'm going to go slow. This is what I'm going to do. This is why I'm doing it, because you said you wanted to hit these goals and I'm here to help you. Boom. Once you understand that, then it's just like, okay, we're going to, hey, you're doing all right. And I got you. And you just have to drop all. It's so much more extra work, in my opinion, to do this versus just be out there and be like, yo, I'm a Star Wars nerd and I like bourbon and, and funny movies. And
yes.
Right,
Listen, a good old fashioned ain't never hurt nobody. We're just making communion wine. But that's so true, Thomas. Even when we're building and talk about even how when you have. I'm very fascinated now with having Black men as clients and breaking down those walls. Because one of the first questions I ask is, who are you? And they tell me, I said, nah, dog, I can read. But who are you? Talk to me, Thomas, when you ask those type of questions that pull at the heartstrings and knowing who they are as a person.
Dr. Williams, that's why Marty and I are so close, because we do the same thing. Let me tell you something. I do not concern myself. Well, let me rephrase that, because we are live. Because the insurance companies do pay me. But the psychosocial assessment is a part of the formality process. So let me get in order. Okay, we do have to do the psychosocial assessment so we can understand what is the actual diagnosis and how we can treat the client, as well as how we can provide them the accurate quality of care. That's what we do. That's what we are licensed by our board to do. However, when that client walks into my office for the first time, I say this to them, simply this. This is your assessment. I read over it, and I understand what you shared during that particular time. But today is July the 19th at 10:49 p.m. How are you doing today? Because the most important thing that we got to understand is, at that particular time when they are telling us things, when they're trying to get services, it could be a bad day. It could be an environment that's toxic. They may not be able to share with you everything that they are dealing with, because their environment may be challenged. So when someone comes into your space, and even if it's a friend, ask them, how are you doing today? What's going on in your life? What happened good to you? What are some of the things in a perfect world I wish that I could blah, 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 and let them finish that sentence. And you start off with what you see in front of you at that particular time, space, and environment. You don't go off of what happened yesterday. You start engaging with what you see. And like when I saw Marty in the green room, I had to let him know He's on the East Coast, but I'm doing this show for him because I believe in him.
Absolutely. Right.
Sometimes you got to take your beliefs when you are engaging with the client, just like I support Marty, I support his vision. So when you have that person in front of you and when you have that man in front of you, you let them know what I see right now is what you can do. Let's stop saying what we can't do.
Right.
I love it because you're so much like me, Thomas, and Dr. Chris. I know I believe a part of my purpose when I'm sitting in my position is to speak life into Black men. Yes. And that helps to direct the path. Listen, yes, the solution-focused approach is essential in working with us. Come on, Jerron.
That's right. That's
Another is therapist. Yes.
Solution-focused and person-centered therapy is also good to use as well. One of the things that I also want to flag for us as therapists and for helping professionals, I know the terminology, I know CBT, I know person-centered therapy, I know all of the techniques that we use. But when you have someone that is coming to you for the first time, you don't want to intimidate them. So you got to make sure that you make it comfortable. And then at the end of your session, when you closing out your session, you can say, hey, during this time, I shape your responses by using some cognitive behavior therapy approaches. So you can also let them know that you are licensed, but you want to make sure that the environment is appropriate for you to be able to have an open dialogue and what we call in therapy, talk therapy sessions. Yes, Marty, I paid for my license, but I earned every bit of it.
There you go. Look, he earned it.
I can't with you. Whatever. I'm still paying for mine. So listen, I need some more clients so I can pay this bill. Listen, COVID deferment is over. They want to check.
Right.
But no, you're absolutely right. And Dr. Chris, I know that I love what you're saying. With us, we got to let them know we are real just like them. And I let them know I see a therapist too. And they're like, real? I said, listen, if I don't see a therapist, and when I don't see him, you gonna know because I'll be all right.
I can't see you.
Right.
Yeah. And just showing them because now we're opening up to them. Listen, Jerron, I hear you. And letting them know that we're just like them. And that I love this. B says that there are so many layers to this topic. Learn behavior. Come on, B. Good and bad. Introduction and representation to society. You're absolutely right with that learned behavior because that goes into the nature and nurture versions of what we do. There's certain things in our DNA that help shape our nature, but our environment helps to shape the nurturing part of the nature. And so those things that I can control, the nurturing part, I can even control a lot of times the nature because I now have the cognition to be able to choose right and wrong when I understand my position, my purpose, and the path. Don't make me run with that today, the three.
There you go. 3 P's. Look, as he was saying it, I'm like, I felt like I was back in class again. I started writing. I was like, okay, P number one. Okay, this is great stuff.
Yes.
I mean,
you know what?
And it's one of those.
Marty and Dr. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, go ahead. No, I was just going to say,
working in the DMV area. I'm sorry, working in the DMV area. I'm privileged to be able to work with individuals. Let me take this head off because I don't got hot. Working with individuals who are scared to have therapy. They are afraid to be vulnerable, and they are limited in their thought process of how the therapeutic relationship is going to go. So what I like to do with my male clients in particularly is to come up with acronyms, to come up with things and slogans that they can implement outside of sessions. Because sessions don't really happen in your office. The real work happens when you roll out and when you are driving home and when you going back into that environment. What's your plan? What's your purpose? And what's your path?
That's good.
Dr. Chris.
That's good. That's good. Go ahead, Dr.
Absolutely. You know, I helping especially bring light to other people, especially other men. I feel like, once again, it's like that superhero. Like, you got to understand, like, I care about you. I care about you as a person, but also feels like that's part of my purpose. So to sit here and help you understand that, the Dr. Chris and all of that, I don't care about that. Like, no, what do they say? Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's the part that I want to let you know, like, bro, all of that's just what the Dr. Chris, that's to get you through the door and let you know I'm legit. But now you here, bro, how you doing? Have a seat. What's going on? How's your day? You know, I love how you talked about all the techniques and the cognitive behavioral therapy and all of that. My mind works in analogies, and it's like, yo, we're here. These are all different recipes. And so, you know, my mom showed me how to cook, and when you learn how to cook, you follow the recipe. But guess what? There are people who can cook, and then there are people who can burn.
Come on.
And when you burn, you don't need that recipe. I already know the direction we're going in. And with this cake that we gonna bake right here, homie, this cake we gonna bake right. This is your cake, and so we're gonna add a little extra butter. We're gonna add a little extra sugar.
That's right. That's right.
And I think people understand
that pound cake now.
Right. So it's like, yo, we're doing this together. You're leading here, and I'm just kind of helping you to say, okay, what next? What do you want to add next? Okay, how much you want to add? You know, what do you think is going to happen? All right, let's try it out.
That's good.
What did you learn? Great. Did it work out for you? Good. If it didn't, okay, what would you do differently next time? Boom. Like, it's not this whole you're going to be. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think a lot of people think you're going to be laid up on the couch, you know, holding yourself, and, you know, I'm going to be beating on the drum, and you're going to be shivering and crying in the corner. I don't know what people be thinking.
Right.
But like, it's not really like that.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Listen, our time is run. Can you believe we are out of time? Man, this is good. You know, I love what Tanya says. We need a part 2. And what I want to do in the near future, and I would love us to continue this conversation maybe in a week or two, a couple weeks or so, is really, what does support look like for the Black man? What does healthy support, especially with helping our women and our partners and our family members to support Black men effectively, not judge them like, what's wrong with you? We'll send up every antenna and say, oh, I can't trust you, as opposed to, hey, looks like something's bothering you. Right. You need to talk. What's on your mind?
Right.
Here if you need. That's a different approach. And when we need to talk about the effectiveness and the healing of the Black man, it's about the approach with that. So listen, I can't thank you both enough. Dr. Chris, how can we follow you, and what are you up to? Any great projects you're up to here lately?
Well, you want to follow me? I'm on TikTok as Dr. Chris Williams, and I'm on Instagram as Dr. Chris I Am. So those are probably the 2 easiest ways to follow me. Since there's so many Chris Williams out there. I'm also on Facebook. My profile's public, but you'll have to search for the profile pic with my little Superman shirt on, laid up on the beach. As far as projects, just trying to think of better ways to reach and help more brothers. I DJ on the side, so I got a DJ gig coming up this Saturday. So I'm looking forward to getting out to the pool and spinning some records and doing those kinds of things to try to stay well-rounded and balanced. So
I love it. I do. Dr. Chris, as always, thank you. Thomas, how do we stay in touch with you and what you're working on? Because you're always working on something.
Shout out to Dr. Chris for representing Greensboro, North Cackalack. Shout out to my mom
336.
who's also in Greensboro, 336 in the house. Yo, I'm working on
There's
just
your
life.
gang signs up in here.
Watch it. Listen, nothing new is really happening outside of me practicing self-care. Limitless Possibilities and all of its entities are going into the communities from July 30th, August 6th, August 13th, and we are going into the communities providing mental health awareness workshops. We are providing mentor and advisement. And lastly, on September the 30th, Marty, and you are invited, Dr. Chris, you are invited. Everybody is invited, but you got to purchase a ticket. But on September the 30th, we are having our inaugural first AIM mentoring fundraising gala because we want to be sure to provide mentoring services, tutoring service, and wraparound counseling services for youth, young adults, and families here in the DMV.
That's great.
So mark your calendars.
Awesome, man. Thank you both so much. I appreciate you both. What an amazing show. Just talking about, and we need to talk about this because my goal and my desire is that we stop the stinking thinking when it comes to Black mental health, especially for Black men. We all go through some sort of mental health illness or crises at some time, but I want to make sure we have the proper tools and have succeeding in this life. So we don't ever want to leave you without any resources. So listen, the resources that we have available for you, if you are experiencing any type of crises, please text crises to 741-741. Please check out our websites on various psychologytoday.com. We also want to encourage you to look at therapyforblackmen.com, Good Therapy, marcelconsulting.com, and of course, mentalhealthmarty.com. We are there as well. And listen, we're going to go straight to the end, Daryl, since it's so late. But in this journey called life, Thomas has told you and shared with us tonight the 3 Ps: the path, the position, and the purpose. We don't want you to continue to secretly suffer in silence in the shadow of shame. But as always, we want you to speak up, speak out, and live. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week, same time, same bat channel. God bless and enjoy your life.